the 11 o'clock. So let's get started, okay? So first of all, happy Monday. Remember last week? Last week I was talking about the 3C. Today I'm going to talk about 3A. I figure this is the easiest to remember. And partly is you might wondering how come I always come up with these letters. It's because I was actually teaching at a community college, a local college down in Toronto called Centennial College for about 2 full years. So I taught 2 classes every year. So I have 4 classes that I taught in those 2 years. And boy, oh boy, teaching adult in those 2 years had definitely helped me so much in thinking about ways to make it easier for everyone to remember. And at the same time, doing radio show has also helped me a lot in helping people to understand. So I like to simplify things. So last time we talked about 3C. Today we're going to talk about 3A. The first A is awareness. So what does awareness mean? Awareness is actually one of I would say the most important part of this 3A. And the reason why is awareness is asking yourself, if you want to enter this journey to become a healthier new you, you ask yourself, what is your new identity? And to create a new identity, it has to start from inside out. Inside out. It has to come from within. We need to understand and we need to truly believe that we have the capability, have the potential, have the power within us to change. We need to believe it. You need to believe it. I need to believe it. Because if I want to become a different person, I need to truly not only envision it, I need to truly believe it. Because if there is a slight chance that you don't believe that new identity that you're about to create, I can tell you along the way, there will be ups and downs. As we know, when we are going through any changes, there will be ups and downs. Life is never a whole, like a linear journey. We know that. Life is full of ups and downs. When you think you're going up, you might be having some sort of challenges along the way to have like we say that you're driving, you might think that you have a nice road, but ahead there's windy road, there's bumpy road, there might be a block right there, there might be some sort of car accident and you need to change your direction. That's part of life. And I think that's what makes life interesting, is because to a certain degree it's so unpredictable. However, if you don't believe that you can, you will never be able to move to that new identity. So I need you to really tell yourself a very important 3 words that I say to myself every single day. I am enough. I am enough. I have everything within me to be able to do everything I want to be, and I will be. It is so important to say that to yourself, because if you don't believe, you cannot even move that next step. And that awareness, and when I say awareness, is the belief, but asking yourself, what is your identity? We might not even think about it, but our identity actually start when we're a kid. Just imagine if you have been a kid who has been always maybe teased about your weight. Growing up, you've been teased about your weight. You identify weight as part of your identity. The choices you make, the decision you make in life and in food, all connect to that identity. Isn't it that right? And if you truly believe this 28 day is the beginning of a new identity, then you need to let go of the past in order to move forward to the future. So you need to have this very tough conversation with yourself. So I'm going to start off with something that's positive, but it's going to be a tough conversation, because for a lot of people, it's digging into that past that sometimes is very uncomfortable and it's very hurtful for some people. But you must let go in order to move forward. I always say that if your plate is so full of old identity, you cannot welcome new things on your plate. You need to remove it in order to add more to your plate. We know that for a fact. If we want more food, we need to take out some and add more, right? So that's why it is so important to ask yourself, right? And the word that we choose, right? For example, I just say, if you have been teased about your weight all your life, even though you are working towards losing weight, even though, let's suppose that you are, and I always tell people, TLS, transition lifestyle, is not just about weight loss. It's about building the healthiest you possible. What is vibrant life? Nowadays, we have long lifespan, mean that we can live for very long because of technological advance, no, sorry, of biological, like medical advances and everything. We live long, but we don't live better. So I really love the way people say lifespan does not equal to health span. You ask yourself, we can live long, we just don't live well. If your goal is, I want to lose weight to live well, I want longevity with vitality, I want life, I want to live life feeling that like this is the best thing to me, then if that's the case, you need to let go of your past and ask yourself, what is your identity that you have given yourself in the past and how you can move on. That is very, very important. And at the same time, you might not even realize it. Growing up, if you've been teased that way, you are very sensitive to weight. You're very sensitive to the notion of food. Everything becomes almost like you decide these are things that are relate to you. And guess what? They actually trickle to your kids. You might not even think about it. And that's why I started with awareness, because you need to think about what impacting you, your action, your decision, the way you speak to yourself, your kids are listening to you. I have two daughters, one is 4 and one is 6. I am so like fascinated with how much the two kids absorb on an everyday basis. They will use word and they actually listen and they actually pay attention to you in more ways than you can ever imagine. Sometimes things that came up with my daughter's word, I realized, oh my goodness, they're listening. So your daughter or your son are listening to you. And if you want to be a good role model, you say enough is enough. I need to change. Then you need to start changing your own identity, so that you can start to see your action change, the way you use word change, right? Let me share with you some of the things that a lot of my clients go through. And even I'm going to say something that's very personal to tell you. Growing up in a very typical Asian family, if all the Asians out there, I'm sure you agree, our parents love us so much, but they somehow wording is not their specialty. Okay, growing up, my dad, if he really feel like you're overweight, he would not say, oh, you're eating a bit more. He looks at you're fat. And if you're not doing that great in school, he said, okay, you're not that smart. Like literally as is. And I remember growing up, I need to recondition my thoughts so that I don't let that identify myself. Imagine I let those words, and I love my parents, and my parents are the greatest thing. And if you ask any Asian parent, that's what they do. They think nothing of it, but they did not know the impact it can have on the kids. And I need to recondition that. So when I learned about behavioral science, I learned about psychology, I was like, wow, that is powerful. And that's why growing up, I worked so hard to please my parents. And I'm sure you totally understand. And until I finally understand, I need to please myself, my new identity. And because of that, I become a much happier person. And I know you can do it yourself. So you need to start off by being aware of your past, identify your new identity, and start using words that are congruent with your new identity. And one of the things that we often say is the way you use word. I don't and I can't has a very similar, very different meaning. For example, if you identify yourself as a overweight, feeling lazy type of person, for example, when you see ice cream, or when you see, I don't know, mac and cheese, or when you see fried chicken, you will say, if you say that, I cannot eat that. When you say that, you're telling yourself, I really want to eat that. I know right now I cannot eat that. That is a temporary thinking. And that's why most people's weight loss is temporary, because they have a temporary thinking. But so how do you have a temporary thinking and want a permanent change? It doesn't happen. You cannot have temporary thinking for a permanent change. Let me repeat that again. So if you want a permanent change, you need to have a permanent thinking. That's your identity and that's your thoughts. So instead of saying, I can't have ice cream, you can say, I don't eat ice cream. I cannot have fried chicken. I don't eat fried chicken. I cannot smoke. I don't smoke. I cannot drink. I don't drink. You see those words that we use, how powerful it is? So be starting to use word that that create that new identity that you want. Okay? So how do you do that? There are three process. One step, do you know what that is? Journaling. Journaling is so powerful. I can tell you, I started journaling about 2 years ago and it had changed my life. And this is something that I teach I used to recommend to my clients that has a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress issues that they need to deal with. I always recommend because I know there's a lot of research to prove that, but I never really enforce it in all my clients. But ever since I started doing it myself, wow, what a transformation. So I really encourage you to journal. You are not here to be a great writer. You don't need to be you just have to write out your thoughts. If it's in words, it's in sentences, it's in picture, it doesn't matter. It's just downloading what's your thoughts into a book, into a journal. It is so, so, so important. So step one is journaling. Number two is after journaling is to envision what your future identity is. Envision, because after you journal, you download, that give you the awareness. Then you need to download new information for the new identity. Then what you need to do is replace those with a solution. Okay, so like, let's suppose you said that I love my ice cream. Instead, I can't eat ice cream, you will write down, I don't eat ice cream. Or you can say, oh, that's no way, I love ice cream. There's no way I can say I don't eat ice cream. You can say, I don't eat ice cream on Monday to Saturday. I eat ice cream on social events. Like, if you identify that, then you will act towards that behavior. That is so important. So number one is journaling, freestyle, right? And for those people who have done journaling, another thing that I can add to that, which I do every day, is write 3 things I'm grateful for. During the time when you're a lot stressed, there's so much on your plate. I have a lot on my plate. I need to sit down to download the information on 3 things that I feel that I'm grateful for, to create that positive. Remember I said your days, like your morning sets the tone of your whole day. And that is the positivity. That's so important. Number 3, you know what number 3 is start implementing those new changes. Because when you write down, you envision it, then you need to ask yourself, what's one habit that you need to do to change that? Because you are having these thoughts, but you need to have that action to start to change these thoughts, because you need to validate these new thoughts that you want. So that's very, very important. And the one thing that I always want to tell people is when you think about all this, you need to ask yourself, and I said before, awareness, right? So that awareness, I spend a lot of time talking about it, because this is one part that is very hard for people to be aware. Like, a lot of people are aware of problem, but a lot of people are not aware of the root of that problem. Okay, so this journaling will allow you to know to the root of that problem. The second A, do you know what the second A? The second A is acceptance. And that also comes in journaling. Because if you write down and you're aware of it, like I said before, I'm from a typical Asian family, and my parents still use those words every now and then. And I know one time when I brought my kids to my parents, and because between my older one and younger one, to be honest, my older one is nice, very tall. My younger one is from what a lot of Asian parents would describe a little bit on the chubby side, like, right? Like fluffy friends, right? And my parents was very adamant, would say, oh, don't eat that much. You're not going to be like your sister. I quickly stopped my parents. I did not want those kind of words with my parents. And my parents meant well. Because as a typical, this is a culture in us. And that's why I'm very aware of it. And I quickly talk to my parents afterward to make sure they don't use these words. And I need to recondition my daughter to not think that way. So it is so important. So after you're aware, you need to accept, okay? You need to accept those are your past. You're ready to move on to your new identity. What's your new identity? A person who's vibrant, who has full of energy, who can deal with anything that comes their way. That's your new identity. Accepting to let go so that you can move forward. Last but not least is application, is taking action, because we accept and we can be aware all we want, but if we're not applying what we are setting to do, we're not going to to make those thoughts more concrete, to create that new identity. And the application is what is actually the habit. So when you think about our habits determines us. So when you look at habits, I really want you to think about a couple of things. Write down the habit that you want to change, and beside it, write down the habit that you want to change. So list down a list of habits that you want. Like, this is your homework. Your homework is two steps. One step, first step is awareness, is the journaling. Okay, write yourself a story. Ask yourself, what is, like for myself, what is Sosan when she was grade 5, when she was grade 4? And what is Sosan want to be when she is in her mid 40s, in her 50s, in her 60s? What kind of mom does Sosan? Write it out. Have that conversation with yourself. That is so important. Then, after you identify, you said, this is who I want to be. Then you ask yourself, who this person that wants to be, what kind of habit this person will have. Then you write down, okay, maybe eating one more cup of vegetables. So you said not enough vegetable. Solution is eating more vegetable. How do you eat one more? Like, don't say just eat more vegetable. Be specific. And I always say, you don't need to be making a drastic change. You just need to tell yourself, you just need to be 1% better than yesterday, 1% more than yesterday. Don't create crazy changes. When I start working out in the morning right now, I tell people I'm not a morning person. I'm a night owl. So making myself do a morning workout is the hardest thing possible. So you know how I start myself? I tell myself, so this is how I created to create this new habit. I'm going to give you how I work for myself, and you can see how you apply for yourself. So for example, I know in the past, I always work out after work, which is like 5, 6 o'clock in the past. But because of my kids, 5, 6 o'clock is my busiest time because I need to prepare meals and they take after my kids. So I cannot work out 5, 6. I ask myself, a healthy, vibrant person, what do? They keep themselves active. I understand the importance of being active. And the only time I can incorporate that is in the morning before everyone wakes up. So I said, but I cannot wake up in the morning. Again, I can't. So I cannot use that word. So I asked myself, how do I wake up early in the morning? So I use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rules, and that really works. But you know what also works? It's creating such a small goal that I have no excuses not to do it. You know how I set my goal? I said, Sosan, I said to myself, Sosan, I need you to do only 5 minutes. 5 minutes. For a person who goes to the gym who do 1 hour, 5 minutes is really nothing. That's like my warm up. But I tell myself, I only need you to move 5 minutes in the morning. I tell myself that. And how I prepare that, I have my gym clothes ready, lay out in my master bathroom. I have my yoga mat layout. I have another room. I set it up. I have water. I have free weights. I set it up as if all I have to do was wake up, turn off my alarm, go to the bathroom, and I see my gym clothes waiting for me, which is a trigger. I put them on so that I can walk to my room, which is beside it, which is I make that as my little mini gym room, and I did my exercise. And guess what? I told myself 5 minutes. So guess what I did? I did literally 5 minutes. I just want to get myself into that habit. And because 5 minutes was so quick, I eventually start to create the habit of 5 minutes. And now I do at least 30 minutes every single day. But it start off 5 minutes, because again, creating that and that start with what? Having a new identity, asking myself, what does a healthy person do? And if my answer is that person is active, I need to incorporate activity. And I did not say workout. Like, imagine if I am not a morning person, to work out 30 minutes in the morning, there's no way. But when I say 5 minutes, I absolutely have no excuses. Make it so that you have no excuses, whether that is doing a movement for 5 minutes, whether that's drinking an extra cup of water. Make it so that like that cup of water should be something like, if you're not a water person, make it visible. Make it as you walk, like go to the bathroom, you have to go bathroom, have that say, have a cup of water. Or if you have a lot of stress in your life, write down things. I'm enough. I can do great things. I believe I can and I will. This is very important. And this is a very important exercise. So to end with tonight or today, I will give you two homework. One is I would love for you to start doing a real life conversation with yourself with journaling. And after that, I would like you to maintain that journaling every single day. But the first journal entry will be the longest because you're going to download as much information about your old identity and also write up what you want your new identity to be. Second homework is listing out habits that you want to change with the habit you want to replace. Because you cannot tell yourself, I don't want ice cream. Or you cannot say that I cannot have ice cream, has no replacement. And this is why we had the nutrition shake, so that there is a replacement. Because if there's no replacement, you have nothing to replace. Guess what? You go back to old habits. So that's why it is important that for every habit, you have a replacement and you have a process in place to implement on a consistent basis. I always say humans like to go to the road of least resistance. So when you want to change your habit, make it so easy, so easy that is absolutely no excuse not to do it. Okay, so your homework, I can't wait for you to share your result. Journaling and a list of habits with things that you're going to replace. And I'm not asking to work on all those habits. Remember, I said make it so simple that after you list of those habits, choose one and focus on this week. That's all I ask, okay? Make it so simple. If you said 5-minute movement the way I started off, do 5 movement. Now, honestly, I can never imagine working out at any other time aside from morning. I loved it, but it did not start that way. It started by me being persistent and consistent. That 3C that applied from last week still apply this week, but we're adding the 3A, awareness, acceptance, and application. And for that, happy Mindful Monday. And thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you next week. Take care, everyone.